Hi everyone. My article is called Including Students with Emotional and Behavioral Disorders Case Management Work. The authors are Hage and Bar First and Yael E. Landu. The article overview. So we do know that students who have emotional and behavioral disorders, they do need extra support in the classroom and they can pose a challenge. EBD students exhibit behaviors such as aggression, disruptive or self-injurious behavior. This behavior does negatively influence teacher and student relationship. With case management, CM for short, protocols, teachers may have better ability to cope with EBD students due to case management having a significant effect on at-risk students. So the author's perspective. So the study was basically conducted to provide information on how case management can serve to influence at-risk students. Now, at-risk students, they may not only be just EBD students. They can be students with health issues, students on the autism spectrum. Case management is historically associated with reducing the dropout rate, but more than ever it is now being implemented to addressing skills development and performance of the students in class. There are 6 suggested principles in implementing case management which serves to strengthen student-to-teacher relationships. One of the first is implementing provisions, monitoring student progress, and as well as adjusting services. There can be a multitude of services that the student may need. A lot of times, especially with students that do suffer from behavioral issues, a lot of things can trigger it. Yesterday they were fine. Yesterday they had a great day. Today is a different day and they're upset. They came into the classroom upset. They came in the classroom having aggression, kicking things, hitting students, and we don't know what triggered it, but we can definitely try to find out why. We can ask the student, what happened. We can ask the student, would you like to talk to me, or would you like to talk to the case manager, Michelle, or someone that the student would feel most comfortable with. Another principle is student identification. Where is the student from? What is their culture like? That's extremely important in case management because, what may be acceptable, at school may not be acceptable at home and vice versa. So understanding, how that family operates, what is their culture like, what are their values are extremely important. Another principle is a needs assessment. A needs assessment is extremely important as well because it identifies the strengths and the weaknesses of the student. A lot of times, with the teachers, they cannot implement case management or they don't know how to implement case management. They don't understand the principles, or a lot of teachers may have never even, heard of case management being used in education. So it's extremely important that teachers get training and understand the significance of how to use case management protocols. While case management has the teachers will have the tools to empower their ability to cope with the management of behavioral problems within the classroom. Reactions. While understanding that EBD students pose significant challenges, many of those challenges can put classroom instruction time at risk. Disturbances can take up to a loss of 80% of class instruction time. Disturbances can also affect non-EBD students and their relationship with the teacher. So as a volunteer in the classroom, I have definitely seen, I have seen incidents where we have a particular student in the classroom that definitely has behavioral issues, and everyone around, him or her is walking on eggshells. Uh, they don't know, they don't want to get in trouble because they don't want to trigger that student. But, you know, it is their classroom. They're curious. They want to learn. They want to touch. They want to see. We had a particular student who did have behavioral issues, and they, did have sensory issues as well. They were sensitive to loud noises. And a simple, excitement, burst of reaction from another student, maybe like, hey, you took my stuff, that loudness could trigger a reaction from the student that has EBD, and they may react aggressively because they're hearing loud noise all of a sudden, and they may kick something or they may throw something. So, we did have a student that was like that. They did have to wear headphones, which is another, you know, good important tool, to have tools that will help students with behavioral issues, because a lot of times, sometimes it is sensory that is triggering that behavior. So certain use like headphones can help. And also I want to add different communicative devices. There are children who, can talk perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with their voices. But when they're upset, when they're angry, they feel like they cannot talk, and they would like to use an alternative method of communicating. And that's all right. They can use that tablet. They can, draw a picture of why they're upset. So yes, I have seen, disturbances affect non-EBD students and their relationship with the teacher, because a lot of times the teacher is so focused, on making sure that everybody's learning, but also, giving that special attention to that child with EBD, that they may not be completely aware. And it talks about that in the study, that they may not be completely aware that the non-EBD child is not, is basically walking on eggshells, may not speak out or raise their hand because they're in fear that they may trigger, that particular child, and they may get in trouble. Another thing I will add is it can cause confusion among the adults if there are no protocols in place. And what that means is, a lot of times with EBD students, I have seen, the parent complain and say, oh my goodness, he or she seems to be doing well here, but when he's at home, it's a different story. He doesn't listen to me. She doesn't listen to me. And, the, the teacher, the case manager can share that information with the parents as well, because there may be different expectations. So that can cause the child to be confused, because, at school, I can't play with my food. At school, I have to sit down in my chair, but when they're at home, they can get up, they can open the fridge, they can grab the remote while they eat. And so sometimes there are that different expectations, and the child may get confused. So implications to practice. Uh, case manager must be familiar with students and their strengths and weaknesses. And I say that this is an implication because not just anyone, as someone who has dealt with EBD students, not just anyone can walk right in and be like, hey, how are you? How was your day? Because they're just not going to communicate with that person. They don't know that person. They don't understand that person. Another implication to practice would be communication about difficulties. So, parent to school communication about difficulties may result in mistrust or negative experiences. So, when people hear, like, case management, they may, associate that with, my child's at risk, my child, is at risk of failing, and that may not be it at all. A lot of times it's just having the parent and the teacher all and the staff understand the expectations that we're going to place on that particular child and the protocols that the adults are going to follow. If the child is displaying, aggression or disturbances in the classroom, any type of out of control behavior, the parents and the school have to, be on the same team. Um, so that's what that means. Case manager and teacher must be able to work together as a team for the student. Now, I've seen not just with case management, but with other professionals as well, that sometimes the teacher as well as the other professional that may be providing a service for that student may not be on the same page. So maybe the speech therapist wants to implement something in the classroom, and the teacher may not feel like that student is ready, or the teacher, does not feel like it will support or benefit that child. And I have seen it where the therapist will explain to the teacher and the teacher will explain to them, and they'll go, back and forth until they find a resolution. So I have seen that happen, and it's very, very important for the case manager and the teacher to be able to work together, because it's a team effort. It's not just I'm the teacher, I have the final say. No, it's, basically every service that child has, all of those professionals will be coming together and trying to implement the best plan and the best protocol to use in the classroom, and to use even outside the classroom, because the parents may ask for help. So it's important that everyone is on the same page. And these are my references. I really enjoyed this article because I do feel like it talks about the scenes that don't happen, like you wouldn't, when you walk into a classroom, you wouldn't readily see, like, oh, this is going on. But a lot of times behind the scenes, you do have teachers staying after school in meetings talking about a student with other professionals and trying to understand. I remember one of my first times working at elementary school, a student had a FBA. The teacher was trying to implement FBA, and FBA stands for Functional Behavior Assessment, I believe, which is basically a target of why the student is implementing this type of behavior. And it's basically almost like an investigation. The child would, get extremely upset, throw everything, and the teacher, professionals were trying to understand every day at this certain time the child gets upset. Why? And so I think it's extremely important for teachers and other professionals to understand the tools of case management and understand and implement them in the classroom. Thank you.